So today we're going to hike the Lost Lake Trail. Here's a good map that gives you an idea. Here's Seward. The road goes up that way. There's Kenai Lake. The other day we went to Kenai Lake and we went to the edge. That's Lost Lake. So we're actually accessing it. My cabin's on this lake. We're actually accessing it from here, getting up in this valley. And if you were to walk the whole way up, it would be about, I don't know, 16, 18 miles. It's a good hike. A little elevation to begin with, like all Alaska hikes, but what's nice about this is we drove quite a ways up to get up to the trailhead, so a lot of the elevation we've already taken, but it's still a pretty hard hike to begin with. Anyway, off we go. Check this out, it looks super cool. All the old moss in these trees. It's an old dead tree right there. The creek bed going through it. Awesome. So as you can see, there's a pretty big hill here, and this trail just kind of sidesteps it. Thought I'd quickly share a quick story about this gentleman named Dale Clemens. The reason I mention him is because at Lost Lake, the Forest Service built a cabin called the Clemens Cabin where people can rent and, hike up there and spend the night and come back. As you can see, the zigzag here as we go up this mountain. Anyway, me and Coach, he was our coach in high school. Me and Coach had this love-hate relationship. We admired each other. I admired him a lot, but I was a bit wild. I lived in kind of Moose Pass. I was a little more free range than most kids. But anyway, one year, I think it was my senior or junior year, we just got our photos back, our school photos, and I had gone to gym class or at lunchtime or something. I left him at the bleachers while I was playing. Came back and my photos were missing. I was like, oh man, Mom's gonna be pissed. Anyway, that afternoon we had a class with Coach, and this particular class, believe it or not, was a rifle class. We had little 22 rifles, and we'd go into this what they called the armory, and we would shoot them into these little buckets. And it was just to, teach kids how to use rifles and guns and stuff. Anyway, we go down there and we all line up and shoot all the targets. We walk down to see how well we did, and lo and behold, every bullseye had my picture in it. Coach had stolen my pictures, cut them in circles, and put them as bullseyes on the targets. Anyway, Mom wasn't too happy, but it was a kind of practical joke that you could have done back then that you could never get away with today. Anyway, it's a pretty funny story. Later on in life, Coach, when I got out of college and went back to Alaska and I was struggling to find a job, Coach employed me for a while, helped me get some money, etc., until I found a job. So, like I said, I admired him a lot. The winter route is for snowmobiles. Explains why that's so nasty looking and they still go up it. And the summer's for hikers. I'll have to try this place in the winter sometime, just see what it's like to go up there. Maybe stay at that cabin. So we're across this creek here. You see the trail moving that way. And at some point we'll zigzag and go back up, and at some point we're going to get out of the trees and in that open area. It's opening up quite a bit, so I assume we're getting close to coming out of these trees. Once we do, we'll get a little elevation. We can look back and see Resurrection Bay. That's how much elevations we went up, so it'll be a pretty shot for everybody. Well, you're about ready to see one of the reasons why this hike is so worth it. We're gonna pop out here and get some really nice views. A lot of rocks, I gotta watch not to trip. There's a river down there. It's kind of hard to see, but it's pretty big. Need to figure out a way to have binoculars and a gun. This 10mm. They have stuff for smaller guns, but I really don't have anything for this big gun, so I'm going to have to come up with some sort of solution, because I'm sure there's wild animals like goats on this mountain that would be kind of cool to check out. Maybe even bear, which is so pretty. So when you climb mountains, you go through the forest level first, then you go to this really heavy brush level, and then after that you get into the short grass, and then you get into the dirt. Well, we've climbed up enough, we've passed the forest, we're in that heavy brush, and this trail walks through it. This is where I always get nervous the most with bears, because it's so tall and so steep, and the forward view is so short that it would be easy just to run into a bear. So I'm always a little nervous through these parts of the hike, but shortly we'll pop out of this and we'll get into some the shorter grass in the high valley. It's really pretty. Well, we've made it basically up out of the big brush. There might be some patches of it, but as you can see, we're in the grasses, etc. I think we got a little shot here of pine trees. These are pine trees that kind of grow at high elevations. And then there's a few more alders, which is some of the high brush. But if you go moose hunting, at least in the Kenai Peninsula, at least what I found is you go to the high country and you find areas that have these kind of big woods here, bigger than this little section, but woods. And then that's where your bulls are at. They're out there away from the bugs and etc. And then they got protection by being able to go into those trees. So that's kind of one of the things that makes moose hunting hard in the Kenai Peninsula. So as we go up to that hill there, I believe, I'm just going by recollection here, that we're going to be able to go all the way, and down there is Resurrection Bay. And we'll be able to see, actually you can see part of the bay right there. I've hiked close to 3 miles, so I think it's time for me to turn back. But there's Resurrection Bay. I don't know if you can see, but even you can see a boat in the water out there. A little cloudy and it's supposed to rain. I was trying to get this hike in before it rained. I think I'll be okay, but we'll see. I got my rain gear. I'm prepared. You can see the lupins are out. Later on in the year, when fall starts happening, we'll start seeing fireweed, which looks very similar, different color. But that means fall's here when that happens. This is more of a sign of spring. Well, I got done with my hike today. Got a phone call from my buddy, and he needs help up here at the deck to nowhere. Put some beams up or something, and apparently there's a whole gang of folks here. I'm a little late, so unfortunately that means I have to walk up. And it's kind of brutal, especially after that 5-mile hike earlier. One of the beauties about being last, I guess, is that they ran out of straps.
Hold up. All right.
Yeah, that's not
Really tough right there.
All right, go ahead and get the other side.
Throw feet.
Throw in the other side.
That's a big step.
1, 2, 3, up. Down. Down.
Good, clear it.
Yeah. We're clear. Okay, set her down. Okay. All right, hand me that line.
Do the same thing over here. We attempt to lift this thing up, top of those.
Okay, get a strap around that, and then probably a 4-foot strap.
You got that done, Blaine.
See,
And now we
see,
celebrate.
Joe, if you look down here.
Oh, exact same thing.
Now jump up and down.
Shifts around a little bit.
Yeah, but it is blowing that tree.
Solid. Yeah.
If you put a nail
You
in
see, it's the same thing we did on this deck, is what we're doing on the other one. And that's where this log cabin is going to be.
The diameter of your tree at the top of your deck, and the species of the tree. And then you have to draw them a diagram of your trees, and you explain each tree, and then they spec out a bolt. I just do it myself now. I just get the biggest bolt for me.
So this eagle flew into a tree right next to my cabin. Pretty cool. I've had so many eagles visit lately, it's crazy. Give you an idea where he's at. Our tree is at the corner of my yard here.